Lonnie, your topic this week.
My topic this week. Give me one sec because I got to jump back over to it because I wrote a
Whoop.
lot down. Got to get back to my notes. I'm also talking about co-branded cards, but co-branded cards versus first-party travel reward cards. Um,
Sure.
with the rising cost of these annual fees, we are 100% at a point where the amount of cards we need to be optimal changes. Now, I know this is going to be very similar to RJ's question, but it's really not. So, what are your thoughts on the changing landscape of, well, first off, the annual fees and how that affect us as consumers of this credit card space and how they choose their next particular card? Once again, like I said, very similar to what RJ had said, but I'm not going to say I recycled my thing, but I wasn't here last week, so this
Yeah,
is
that's
my
your topic
topic
from a
from
little bit
yeah,
ago.
this
Yeah.
is my topic from a while ago anyway.
Yeah.
But just for anyone listening, yeah, he just asked the same question. No, I didn't. They're different. Uh,
Yeah.
but as I had mentioned, and I've said this before, is that you can actually make a pretty strong optimal setup with just co-branded cards, especially going to bring them up again. The Chase and Amex ecosystem war that or battle. I won't call it a war yet, but the battle that's currently happening or on the rise, annual fees are going up to the
Yep.
point where we're all saying we got to pick one or the other. And for example, like myself, Keith and AP, we're like, maybe not either. Maybe we just bail and dip out. But with these particular changes, how do you actually see that changing the landscape come Q4 2025, Q1 2026? And right now it's a sub hunting, right? Where it's like, oh, great deal. And this fits into the ecosystem I'm already a part of, or this is a great deal. I'm under 524, or I'm not in pop up jail. Maybe I am in pop up jail. I'm going to get this for this, whatever. How do you see not just how all of this landscape changes, but how how it affects how we choose our next cards? You know what, RJ, Matt keeps going to you first, so I'm going to go to you first too.
So I think that the days of, and again, this is for most people, if this does not apply to you, go get some popcorn. I think the days of just collecting cards like Pokemon for most people are done, right? There was a period of time where even the really premium cards had a, see, Pokemon. That could be our next joint venture, guys. We could do Pokemon.
I
Um,
actually got it in a, I bought my son a Happy Meal and it was in there and it's actually a valuable card. So I should get like a little safety sleeve for
yeah,
it.
Get it graded.
uh, yeah. But I think the days of just I have the CSR for this, and I have the Platinum for this, and I have the Aspire for this, and I have the United Club for this. I think those days are going to be over soon, right? If they're not already. And look, if you have the money for those annual fees and you want to pay it and you can justify it, I'm not your mother, I'm not your girlfriend, I'm not your daughter. Go forth and conquer. But I think for most people, those days are done. And I think that being more selective and not necessarily maximizing every single category, but having a strong catch-all for yourself is going to be a better way forward. I have said it, my Hilton business is my catch-all card. It's 5x everything for Hilton. I stay at Hilton's a lot. For me, that is completely worth giving up anything that I would quote give up by using the Blue Business Plus as my primary catch-all and waiting for some bonus, right? So for me, because I'm into Hilton and by extension Delta, I can use my platinum targeted, I can use different cards in a targeted way, and it all works for me. For other people who have all of these premium cards that they've collected because they could, I think now they actually have to use a little bit more planning and logic and not just be like, oh, I want this one benefit, I'll go with it. Or if you are somebody who's been using more logic, like you actually have to quote justify these cards now. If you're like, oh, I fly, so I want this card, cool. But do you actually use the benefits or do you just like the fact that you have the card? And if you just like the fact you have the card, that's fine. I am not judging you for having a card that you don't use fully. We all have cards that we want just to want them, and that's fine. But know that. Have some ability to know yourself. Have some ability to say, I have this card because I want this card. That's the reason I have it. If you say that, if you fully know that and tell me that, we're kosher. We're good. I do not care. Like, I will not judge you for that because that's fine, but you have to know it. And I think a lot of people are waking up to realize, oh, I have cards that I pay multiple $100s for, and I don't actually know why I have it other than I've had it for 6 years and I don't know how not to have it. There
Yeah.
are a lot of people who are coming to terms with that with the CSR. Of I've had the CSR at 550 for X number of years, and it was whatever before that. And I just have it, and I've been using it, and I use it for travel, and I use it for this, and I use it for that. But why? What? Why? And I think that why is what people are coming to terms with and having a really hard time coming to terms with. And then they look at an Aspire or they look at a Brilliant and they go, why not that? Brain, why not that? And they don't have an answer. And then they have this fight internally of, but I have the CSR, but the CSR is not the CSR of a month ago. So maybe the Brilliant or maybe Aspire or maybe whatever card works better. And I think that tension is getting a lot of people who are deep in the credit card game caught off guard, and they don't know how to handle it. They do not know how to handle that tension. And we're seeing a lot of people have a lot of feelings out loud because of that tension. And that's okay. But like, you can't act like Chase, quote, did something wrong when it comes to redesigning a card. You can say it's not for me. You can say that the rollout is stupid. You can say that these credits aren't like naturally congruent to each other if you're not like in a city. Like, you could say a lot of things, but you can't say, quote, Chase did something wrong, because all they did was redo their card. You can pick at a lot of points on it, but that tension is your tension. That tension is not Chase's tension. Chase does not have tension with this. So I think that, look, I'm going to be honest, right? There's a lot of men who could use a lot of therapy in the credit card game that I think are using the credit card roadmaps that they put out as sort of their own therapy. And perhaps maybe go see a therapist, because it might make you feel better, and maybe you won't spend 15 minutes raging about the fact that Chase took your safety blanket away as a topic for a thing. Or maybe you won't use the same 3 poses in your credit card intro videos because you like have some taste. Maybe that.
Can we get a Talkspace sponsorship?
If we vet the therapy company, I'm not opposed to telling people to go therapy.
I like my person so far.
Good. Therapy is great. More people should do it.
Yep. Sorry. Didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, no, the soapbox has been returned to Lonnie to pass along.
Oh, thanks. So now I will pass it over to Matt, and my statement of passing it to RJ first, because Matt keeps going to it first, was not a shot at Matt in any way, shape, or form. I was just being funny.
That shot of the 3 poses is also not a shot at Matt, nor the you need therapy ranting about the Chase card. Matt's reasons for ranting about the Chase card, I will contend, are valid.
Ooh, thank you. So what are my thoughts on the changing landscape of annual fees and how they may affect how customers choose their next card? Customers need to be a little bit more vigilant, and that's partially why we're here with the podcast or our various channels or being a part of the YouTube credit card space, because we want people to be more discerning credit card users. We want folks to dig in a little bit more than surface value, because 4x on grocery sounds amazing. Yes, 4x on grocery, and if you need to ever cash out your, like, with the intention of doing international travel or with the intention of booking travel, is one thing versus Forex on grocery, and you have the flexibility to oh shit your way out and cash out for money should money ever be a concern, are two different ways to think about Forex on grocery. Now, I think that with the changing landscape, you are seeing the two behemoths at the very top, kind of pushing for overall control of one's wallet, one way or another. Now, I believe that American Express and Chase would much rather you go with their primary cards, but I don't think that the folks at American Express or Chase Card Services are going to care if you go out and use the co-branded cards, as long as you are in American Express's ecosystem or you're in Chase's ecosystem. I don't think they're losing sleep if you're going United versus Delta or IHG versus Hilton. They just want you to stay either under the Chase umbrella or under the American Express umbrella. How this is going to affect the cities and Capital Ones and Wells Fargo's of the world, like they're going to have to step up at some point. And by stepping up, it's either going to be raising annual fees or creating cards that plant a new flag in the ecosystem, in the landscape, and that say, we're here to contend and we want your business. We're going to lose some money to get your business, but we're going to offer you something that they used to offer that you miss. It's the only way that the Capital Ones and cities and Wells Fargo's of the world can get major attention. I do think that there is going to be a co-brand versus first party, sure, but the first party issuer doesn't care if you go co-brand or you go first party. They want you to spend your money through their card network first. So if you fly United, Chase doesn't care if you're going through United or you're going through Chase's family of Ultimate Reward earning cards. I'm sure they would prefer you to go through the Ultimate Reward earning cards, but if you're going through United, no rain off their back. That was stupid. But insert idiom here that works. I think that American Express doesn't care if you go through Delta, doesn't care if you go through Hilton, doesn't care if you go through membership reward earning cards. They want you to put your money through a card with the American Express logo on it. As long as you do that, they don't care. But we are at a point where the amount of cards we need to be optimal does change. Like, you don't need all three major travel cards between American Express, Capital One, and Chase. You don't need 6 different cards to accomplish maybe one goal. Your wallet's going to change drastically over the next couple of years. You may not get value out of the major, the top end lifestyle travel cards between American Express and Chase. If you're not getting value out of them, maybe leaving both of those ecosystems could benefit you by looking at a Capital One or looking at Wells Fargo or looking at Citi, because they still offer pretty solid value, even if that value is just 2% cash back. Because all three have a way of giving you, Capital One doesn't give you 2% cash back, but Citi and Wells give you 2% cash back at bare minimum, right? You're going to reevaluate, and Lonnie today in his members only video did an audit of, re-audited his whole setup and found that there was a card that could give him more value. You're going to have to audit and re-audit your wallets and make sure that the cards that are there are going to give you value. Maybe it requires slimming down your wallet. Maybe it requires adding another card that was previously a bit player, but now could be a much bigger player because you're looking to replace some of the value that you have lost from changes at the top end of the ecosystems for you. If you don't have Sapphire Lounges around you, but you have United Clubs, the United Club card probably makes a lot more sense now at $6.95 instead of trying to carry that card plus a $7.95 Sapphire Reserve that's not doing anything for you. Look at reducing that $800 that you can put either back in your wallet or reinvesting around your wallet to add maybe the Quest card to make the Quest card and the Club card a powerful setup for you. It's not the greatest earning setup of cards, but if they produce enough value for you, reinvesting that $800 into the United ecosystem makes more sense. It's not going to worry Chase too much because you're still spending through Chase's network. So you're good there. There's different ways you're going to have to reevaluate. And as long as the value is there for you, you're going to be good. But how will it affect it? It's just going to depend on the amount of work and research that you're willing to put into it. If you don't want to research things, a solid 2% catch-all card is going to be the best Hippocratic credit card you could apply for. First, do no harm. Do no harm to your wallet, get a 2% catch-all card. Easy as that. Especially one at no annual fee. If you're not willing to invest significantly into an ecosystem because you don't know how to use it, or you don't know how it works, or why am I using United cards when I haven't flown United in 6 years? It's worth auditing and rebalancing your wallet. Like, you should always try to do an audit. You should always try to reassess things, especially now with macroeconomics being broken and the card companies just going for whatever they can get out of all their customers, amplifying their total revenue out of you. If you don't need to go with them, don't go where you're going to get more value for yourself. I turn the mic back.
I was just making sure you were done. Yeah. That's all. That's what the pause was. No, that makes a whole lot of sense, and I appreciate both of you for it. Where quantity doesn't always mean quality when it comes to the type of cards. And personally, and the way that I see the credit card space is going, this recession, if you will, is real. It's happening. We're watching it happen right now. So I just would love to hear. I liked to hear your opinions. Not that I didn't love, but I did enjoy hearing your opinions on how you perceive this transition.
Yeah. Thank you, Lonnie.